just about to get ready to get started. The Sabria meeting for April the 15th, 24 is now called to order. Please stand for a prayer, and Brother Preston, would you please lead us in a word of prayer, and remain standing after the prayer for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Heavenly Father, we come to you because you're so good. We don't have nowhere else to go. It's better than you. So because of that, we petition you to be with us in everything we do. Help us to be a blessing to our tenants, and help us to be a blessing to everyone. And we ask, Lord, that you give us wisdom and understanding as we operate our businesses. We want you to get the glory and the honor and the praise from it. Help us to be better stewards than we are now. Increase us in wisdom and understanding and everything that has to do with life and godliness. We bless the food, receive it with thanksgiving for the nourishment of our bodies. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen, amen. Please remain standing. We'll face north for the Pledge of Allegiance. The flag is in the corner over there. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. Guys may be seated. And it looks like
No, they can
all right, guys. It looks like everybody here is regular members. I don't see any new members. Do we have any new members here today? Doesn't appear to be. Look like I know everybody just by first name. And my buddy right here on the end, right there. Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of. All right. We don't have any first-time visitors. Now it's time for our Secretary's report, and that will be Miss Tammy Judge. All right, guys, while Tammy's working her way up here, I would like to say that early part of last week, Tammy was elected as Secretary of Sabria. She's currently serving as a bookkeeper, and she will be giving a report on the Secretary report as well as the bookkeeper report. Miss Tammy Judge. Congratulations, Tammy.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I was going to say, that's just to talk about what we talked about at our last board meeting. It mostly was, getting me elected for secretary. And also, we have some exciting news. We are finally getting our website started up. We found somebody that is going to take care of it for us and get it going, and it should look really good. We're going to be using Dominique Horton. She's with Eden Consulting, and she is going to create that website. We are also going through Wild Apricot online software, and it's going to bring us up to date, and it's going to have a calendar on there to let people know what's up, coming up. Member access only. They're going to redo our logo. We're going to have a smoother payment system, and she's gonna be working on it with the next couple weeks and let us know what it looks like and see if we approve it. It did cost. It's going to be a total of $1,500 for her to do this. It was approved by the board. We already paid the down payment of $750, and when we are happy with it,
yes,
then we're going to pay the remaining $750. So it's going. This website, it should bring in more membership. We'll be able to promote it more, and it should be a better looking, user-friendly website. And then I'll go into the treasurer's report. Dolores isn't going to be here tonight, so I'm going to go ahead and do the treasurer report. All right. Total in the bank is $7,383.27. We have the 2 CDs that are coming due in September. Both of those are $2,607.38 each. The checking account has $2,168.51 in it. As far as our profit, well, our dues last month, we took in $404. Our expenses were $321.74. So far in April, we've brought in $120, plus we've had a couple people pay today. Total expenses this month is $969.46, just because of the website we had to pay to get that going, pay a down payment on that. We've got, right now we have 27 members. We've had a few more that we're adding on to it today. And so things are looking good. And we do not have any buy sells today unless anybody has one.
Buy sale? No.
No, okay, all right.
Amen. Question?
Oh, yes.
Question about the website
Yes.
developer and cost. That's $1,500 to start it up. Is there an annual monthly maintenance
There
charge?
is a monthly maintenance. It's going to be $67.50. Right now, we're paying $24.99 to online builders, and they really don't do anything for us. The $67.50 is going to, it's going to be a monthly charge, and we get a lot more for it than we do with the online builders.
Okay, thank you.
All right? Anything else, or any other questions?
Just to add on that, the website that we have with the online present builders is probably about 20 years old. And it's been difficult over the last several months, almost a year, just to get a couple things updated on it. We make phone calls, emails, etc. And it just have not really been as responsive as we like. So I think it's time for a good refresh. Some of the websites builders today are charging $4,000 or $5,000 to build. Dominique Harden is the website designer for the city of Shreveport. So she handles all of their website. So she's premium qualified to build that. We also have a Wild Apricot, which is membership software. So it's geared toward membership. It's just not like for sales. It builds memberships and drive memberships. So we think this is going to be something that will enhance the organization moving forward. It will be able for us to close the deal on sales. So if you run into a member, you're talking to someone, they're interested in real estate, investing, buying, selling, or trading, then we can sell them and hopefully close that deal right there on the spot. If you don't do it with me personally, then I can drive you to the website, give you the website. You can take a look at it in your leisure, in your off time, look at the website and see what the products and services that we offer and see if that would help you to build your portfolio. So I've met with RE318, I think in February. So it'd have been helpful for me if I'd had a fresh website to close the deal with some of those members. I piqued their interest, but I wasn't able to close it. But now it looks like the next couple of months I'll be going back over there and we can drive them to that website. Also, one of the things that they're able to do is makes the emails more fluent, as well as membership cards. We'll also be able to upload the videos. Marcus is videoing right now, so we can upload the videos on YouTube as well. In the event that you're not able to make a meeting, then you can access the video through our membership portal. So you have a window address per se for the public view, and then if you're a member, you paid up your dues, then you have access to our teaching and training and videos that will be uploaded, as well as the calendar. So instead of getting a 24 or 48 notice of the meeting, then you'd be able to go online and look at the calendar and say, and plan around it when the next meeting is going to come. So thank you, Tammy, for that wonderful report. Outstanding.
All right.
Any other questions on the secretary report or treasury report? All right. Tammy passed out some buy, sell, and trade. And it does not look like we have anybody on buy, sell, and trade. All right, so now it's time for us to get down to business and introduce our guest speaker. I wonder who's that going to be. I don't have a clue.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Mark. No, you're good. Some of you guys, particular Grant and Lauren, I don't know if you met my beautiful wife Rose. That's her sitting over there by Miss Virginia over there. But be sure I get those in order over there. Terry, I don't think you met my wife. That's my wife over there. So I don't know, I'm gonna think about move this up a little bit, Marcus. See, if everyone could, this might be a little better. Oh, let me see. I'm cutting somebody out over here. You can't see.
I'm good. I read it.
Okay, all right. Okay, guys, our topic for tonight is the Corporate Transparency Act. All right, so it's known by the Corporate Transparency Act, it's known by Fincen, also known by the Beneficiary Owner's Information. So I will go through all of those as we go through the flip chart. So the first question is, on the FAQ, is when did the CTA become law? All right, it was part of the Anti-Money Laundering Act of 2020. It became law on January 1st, 2021. Former President Trump vetoed the bill. It was overridden by Congress by 2/3 vote. So what is the purpose of the CTA? What is the purpose of the act? All right. One is to thwart the use of the misuse of LLCs and corporations. So it looks like that some people were forming LLCs or S corps, small corporations, as shell organizations, setting them offshore in the Caribbean, money laundering, doing illicit drugs and whatnot. So it is common for people who have some illegalities on their mind to form these shells companies, and it's pretty easy because you just register with the Secretary of State, but they form these shells companies to funnel their monies to themselves. And I think there was a case during COVID where one of those companies was formed during COVID, and they got a lot of government contracts, and they were sending them off overseas to one of those Caribbean island companies, which don't have, the word is not retribution, but
Extradition.
extradition. That's what it is. All right, so now, tax evasion, terrorism. If you remember about terrorism, several years ago, during the Bush administration, that was the Patriot Act. So you used to be able to go down to the bank, you want to open an account, they may ask for your ID, they may not ask for your ID. If you want to open an account now, they almost want blood serum and hair sample, particularly if you have an LLC. In the past, you just tell them you have an LLC, they just type it in there, and they're good to go. Now they want to see your charter. They want to see your ID because the government is checking to see if everything's in order. Be sure that you're not funneling that money overseas to the Middle East someplace and they've blown up something, it's against the country. So, all right, cybercrime, we know about that on the computer. And then here's a catch-all. If you know anything about the government, they're always going to have a catch-all. Other illicit activities. That could be anything that they want to define it as. That's our lovely government for it. Okay, so now, does the CTA apply to me? If you are an owner or a corporation or LLC, let's see a show of hands of people who have LLCs in it. Well, it applies to us because it's going to affect us directly. And one of the things that I have reservations about is self-reporting. I have to self-report to the federal government. What are they going to do with my information? And if you think about it, they pretty much got just about all the information they need on us now. I mean, the day that you were born in a hospital, there's a record, right? There's a birth certificate. The day that you leave Earth, there's a record. It's called a death certificate. That's the government. They keep in track of when you're born all the way till you die. whether you pay taxes, you don't pay taxes, whether you evade taxes. I mean, that is our form of government. And we had to deal with this before with the residential over there in Shreveport, self-reporting again. The big difference now is that we worked that we didn't have to pay a fee or a penalty. This one is totally different. They almost are more restricted than the IRS. So, I know I'm leaning in somebody's way, but so what are the penalties for willfully failing to comply? The penalties are $500 a day. I don't know about you. I can't stand $500 a day. A day? So this is the federal government. If you don't comply, $500 a day. All right, what is the next one? Okay. And up to $10,000, criminal penalties up to 2 years in prison, and additional penalties up to $250,000. Or 5 years in jail. So this topic is very important to us. We had a show of hands of just about everybody in here had an LLC or S corp. So one of the things about compliance, how many people in here are military or former military? Grant, Robert. So how do you get compliance? If you've been in the military or paramilitary, you know how to get compliance. Or if you're a parent, you know how you get compliance? You can get compliance with inspection, right? Brent, go make up the bed. I'm not doing it. That's fine. I'm getting that behind check. Same thing with the government. You get compliance by inspection. That's why they want this information. So as we go along, I will go over some of the things that they're going to be requiring that you fill out to get that information. All right. When does the CTA, Corporate Transparency Act, go into effect? It went into effect on January the 1st, 2024 of this year. So we're in April right now. We got to the end of the year. If you already have an LLC, you got to the end of the year, December 2024, to file your CTA. If you start an LLC or a corporation within this year, you have 3 months to file your CTA. So those are some of the restrictions, and time is really getting pretty close. Okay, who must report? Corporations, LLCs formed in the U.S., and all registered to do business. So if you're an overseas corporation or LLC, then you also have to register with the federal government with the Fincen. On the B, it says entities created by the Secretary of State or paperwork similar to that. So we know that when we formed our LLC in Louisiana, that, can you see it? Yeah. I'm so sorry. So today, I went on to the Secretary of State website, and I had a reason for doing that. I had to go to the Secretary of State website to add Tammy as our new secretary to update our website. So that ties into what she said about our website as far as getting it refreshed. The first thing that I saw as a big header on their website is you may have to file a CTA. So whenever you go to file your annual report, they got a big header on the Louisiana Secretary of State saying you may have to file your Fincen report with the CTA. So, and I'm gonna say I was stressed. They saying you may. There are some qualifiers or some example organizations. For an example, Sabria is a non-profit organization. We don't have to file with the CTA, not Sabria. All right. Number C, it says, now partnerships or trusts are not currently enumerated. How many of us have trust? Bam. 3 or 4. If you have a trust, you're pretty good. For now. They didn't cover trust. If you file with the Secretary of State, you can go online, do it yourself, create your organization, get your charter. If you're dealing with a trust, 9 times out of 10, you're going to have to hire an attorney to get your trust all set up how you want. Whether or not you want to do a living trust or any other type of trust.
Comment.
Yes, go ahead.
Comment. You can have a trust and your property is not in your trust. And if it's not, you're subject to that information that Tommy just said. One of the purposes of having a trust is to put your property inside the trust.
Yes.
And lock the box.
Right.
So, just wanted to add that.
So Calvin, I didn't mean to interrupt
Go ahead.
you. So I have a trust, but all my properties are not in the trust. Can I take the properties that are not and transfer them this year and be okay?
Yeah, it's called an act of donation. It's one document, fill it out, and put your properties inside the trust this year.
Yes.
And
Yes.
if that's the case, then I suspect you probably won't have to comply with that.
Right. The wife and I went to the state attorney several months ago. We have one property that's inside, only one property that's inside of a trust. Now we have to contemplate the same thing as Terry said, in order to protect my assets, move all the rest of my properties into the trust. The fee with the attorney that we spoke to was Mr. Steele, that was like $4,700 to $5,000. So, but it's an investment to protect your assets. All right. We are on number 7. Are there any entities that are exempt? Large corporations, publicly traded companies, dormant companies. So for an example, I formed a company called Ted Inc. several years ago. It's been dormant. I looked at my website today. It don't have to file with the CTA. The secondary company that I still operate as a lawn service company. Simple little lawn service company, got to file with the CTA. To be sure that the government keep track with you, your organization, to be sure that you're not sending money to the terrorists overseas someplace. All right, so tax exempt, that'll be Sabria again, banks and credit unions. Now, banks and credit unions are generally exempt because they already filed on the Fincen. So if you're dealing with large sums of money, $10,000, you transferring $10,000, then the banks automatically file with Fincen that, Terry owed me $10,000. Now, here's the oddest thing about that. They're not worried about, the banks don't key on the $10,000. They're worried about the $9,999. And to repeat it, that's what gets their attention. A friend of mine is a banker, and that's what he told me. The $10,000, not worried about that. It's the guy that's sending $9,999, to some country overseas someplace. That's the ones that get their attention. So, where are we? Oh, we did insurance companies and, of course, public utilities. All right, now we're on number 7. What is a beneficiary owner? Okay, what is a beneficiary owner? Substantial control. If you own 25% ownership, substantial economic benefit, and what is this? So now, when you're dealing with corporations, if you're a director, any officer, particularly the president, vice president, CEO, chief executive officer, secretary of treasury, or chief financial officer, then you are qualified right here as a beneficiary owner. Now, for LLCs, most of us are, how many here are managers on the LLCs? Bam. Got us. They got us. So, we're in the game there. If you're a manager and you own an LLC, then you have to file the CTA or the Corporate Transparency Act. Are there any exclusions for the beneficiary owner? Minors, of course, they don't count. Or if you're an agent, or agents primarily, people who receive your lawsuits, you can hire one, or you can put yourself as an agent, or your wife, or whoever. They're exempt. And then, of course, if you have a large company or LLC, if you have any employees, they are exempt. Any heirs or heir apparent? A little sticky going on here today. Also creditors. So, you get sued, they take over your LLC, the bank is a creditor, of course, they're exempt. What specific information must the beneficiary owner provide? Okay, the name, your name, as it appears on your driver's license. So I filed mine in February of this year. I had to scan my driver's license in, upload my driver's license. So they got a picture of my driver's license on the file, as well as your date of birth, of course, that's on your driver's license, and a unique identifying number. What is that? That's just your driver's license number. If you don't drive, your ID number. They want something that specifically identifies you as the beneficiary owner of that particular LLC or company, so if anything goes awry, they know who they're dealing with. Now, how does that translate to the real world? It translates to the real world that you got some terrorists that want to fly some planes into New York. They don't have a driver's license. They don't have any ID. They may have somebody over there might form a company, but you can easily track those now. That's why they want this information. You can easily track those. And of course, we experienced all that on 9/11. Not keeping up with people coming into the country, they're forming LLCs and companies and getting airline license and all of that. So now, or any other state form ID. What is this? So now, of course, with anything else, non-expiring. You go to the bank, you open your account. You know, the lady told me you got 1 week, you know, before your license expires. That's what they train for. Even though it's you, the information's still valid. They're not gonna take a expired driver's license. Or of course now, you know, for the federal government, they recognize passport or pass card. All right, who has access to this database? That's what we want to know. Who has access to this information? That ain't hard to find. You file it, that's not hard to figure. If you file it with the federal government, of course, they have access. But, okay, let me follow this real quick. It says the information is not public. Okay, what does that mean? That means they built a database, it's not open to the public. Certain people have access to it, but we do know in the cyber community that you can breach these databases. I get mails from banks and AT, just different people saying, you know, I'm sorry, we got broke into, your name's on the list. You don't know what it is. I'm looking out the window to see if I'm going to lose half my estate. All right. Yes.
One of the things that I came across in my reading of the lady who wrote an article about this, she said, at the very bottom, she said, be sure that you get something to protect your identity. Identity theft software, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Company to monitor it or whatever.
Yeah. Several companies offer identity theft software.
I offer it.
Go ahead.
I offer identity theft protection through Legal Shield.
Right.
It's an add-on.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I do too.
Yeah. So do I.
You can freeze your credit with all of the credit bureaus.
Yes.
So that's one.
Say that again, Ms. Lauren.
What was the question?
You can freeze your credit with all
Right.
three of the credit bureaus.
Experian, TransUnion, and what's the Equifax?
And Experian.
Yeah. All right. So of course we know the federal government. They're the ones that ask for the information. State, local, law enforcement. So state police have access to it. Now, when you say state, I say state police. Actually, this is your Secretary of State. We know this already. So, even without telling us this, I already know that if I'm giving that information to the federal government, then they supersede our state government, then they're gonna mine that database. So, you know, if you decide, you know what, I'm gonna wait till the end and see how this thing pan out, I don't know if I'm gonna file or not, but then they already know who you are, you know, whether you filing or not, because your information is already on the Secretary of State database. So they just gonna upload all that information and then check out the people who have filed with the LLCs and corporations against the people who have not. Gotcha. Okay. All right. Then non-U.S. law enforcement, Interpol, those particularly for the people who are overseas, and then financial institutions. And of course, we talked about the banks already. How long will Fincen retain the beneficiary owned information? They're retaining for 5 years after the termination of the company. So if you have a company and things are not going well, you're just trying to get things back, you shut the company down, but they gonna mine that for 5 years in case you get back on your feet. That's pretty in-depth. Yeah. They don't want you coming back through the back door, so to speak. All right, on number 13, CTA litigation. All right, there was a lawsuit filed by Isaac Winkles of the National Small Business Association. He filed that, I want to say, in 11 or 22. So they filed that over in Alabama, and the judge ruled that the Corporate Transparency Act was unconstitutional. All right? So that was a good sign. I was liking that. Might not have to file anyway. But of course I filed back in February. However, he enjoined the Department of Justice, and for the members only the members. If you're a member of the National Small Business Association, then you have been enjoined in that lawsuit, and you don't have to file the Fincen report. Anybody in here a member of the National Small Business Association?
But doesn't that only apply to Alabama?
No. Applies to anybody nationwide who's a member of the National Small Business. So this guy, Winkle, filed a lawsuit against the government for a Corporate Transparency Act. And the judge says, fine, you do have standing, but anybody nationwide, since it's a U.S. federal court, anybody nationwide who is a member of the National Small Business Association are exempt and enjoined. Don't have to file until this case is heard. Me, I'm not a member of the National Small Business Association, so I'm looking to join, but I filed already. All right, so that covers the Department of Justice. They appealed it on the same day, and of course I have that in red. So the appeal is that if you are not a member of the National Small Business Association, then you still have to file within the time frame and parameters. So the clock is still ticking. So the Department of Justice is appealing that ruling to get those members to file as well. Oh, and I mentioned this earlier in my presentation, that the Department of Justice, that the Secretary of State Office, when I got on the website today, the first thing that they had up there was, you may have to file. Now, just a quick overview. I don't like waiting to the last minute to try to do some things. This seems so important to me and the vitality of my company. It kind of sort of reminds me of, around about this time of year when you're filing your taxes. Yes, that's part of doing business. For me, I know how many taxes I got to pay. I know who I have to pay the taxes. And of course, the remaining is left for my profit, but that's part of doing business. So for me, to avoid the $500 a day or $10,000, up to $10,000, I need to go ahead and fill out the paperwork. Now, there's a couple ways that you can do it. Pat passed out a handout, and looked like I need to find a handout. There you go. Pat, do you have extra? Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. All right, this is a quick reference, guys. Everybody has one? Do you have one, Rhonda? Okay. All right. This is a quick reference, guys, for the BOI, beneficiary owner information, on e-filing. I did an e-file. And we went over what are some of the things they're looking for. Okay, on the e-file here, it says here, filing successful for beneficiary owner. My status is successful. Transmission data. And what is that? Receive timestamp that was on February 2024. It goes down to some of the things that they were looking for that we talked about earlier. But at the very bottom it says no validation error. So I'm in the game. I ready to file. Got that out the way. I don't want to get to the end of the year, get busy with my properties and paying taxes, get sick and forgot to file the thing, and now I got $500 because I wasn't proactive.
How many people in here have filed?
Damn.
Go away.
Go away.
Never do today.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people that filing today, but not with Fincen. They filing for their taxes. And yeah, that might be a strategy, particularly if you're old. You don't want to release your money until you have to. And these are just some of the things, other sheets that come along with it. It has my company name, TB Real Estate, my address, and just other information that they require. Bless you, bless you. So on this handout, on the quick reference, it's always good to pass out something so everybody have something to take back and peruse in your own pleasure. But there's a couple ways you can do it. You can do it electronically, file on your computer, or you can fill it out on a PDF and upload the PDF. Either way, you're gonna have to file sooner or later. Are there any questions on the beneficiary owner information? Fincen or Corporate Transparency Act? I think when I asked about anybody, how many people in here have LLCs or corporations, just about everybody in here raised their hand. So it's gonna affect us, our business, and it's nice to know that, have some type of information like Grant. Grant might wait, he might wait the next month, But I know Grant. I understand, buddy.
Breaking that down.
Yeah, I understand. So, does anybody have any questions about the Fincen, beneficiary owner information, or Corporate Transparency Act?
They won't contact you and say you haven't done this or anything, or it's just.
Well, this is what I suspect. Now, I don't know. I'm not the Fed. This is what I suspect. So you do have an LLC with the state of Louisiana, correct?
Yes.
All right. So it says who has access to the information. The federal government has it, and the state has it already. I would imagine they're gonna put the state of Louisiana database up against the federal database of who has applied and who has not applied, and it's gonna spit out your name and anybody else to the side who hasn't filed after December 31st.
And then they're gonna start collecting the money.
And then this is the federal government now. Listen, if
$500 a day.
are they now, if you receive income tax, the federal government is really, when I say tricky, they have leverage. So you don't file by the deadline, they're not gonna knock on your door, send you a notice and say, can you please give us that $500? They're gonna go to the Department of Labor if you're working, get your money out of garnish your check. If you IRS, yeah, if you filing taxes, they're gonna put a lien on that. They'll put a lien on your properties. They're gonna get the money because they have leverage. Now, and we're in the real estate business or investing business. We know about leverage, right? So how does that work? If I'm looking for a tenant, they're trying to rent one of my properties, guess who has the leverage? I have the leverage. You know why? Because I'd have a check in every box. 2/3 of your rent has 2/3 of your income. Or a third. Well, let me get it straight. Say it again, Grant.
A third.
A third. All right, you got to fill an application out. You got to go to the website, fill out the application. I got to do an interview. We got to do an inspection. All of those things. So I have leverage before I pass the keys over. And you passing me money. Guess what happens once they get the keys? Who has the leverage? The tenant has the leverage. Because you have to do something to get them out. And they will sit. Yeah, to the very end. And they'll make you file an eviction. They'll go down to the courthouse to the very day, to the very end, until they have to. Meanwhile, they're taking that money and giving it to somebody else. So, all right, go ahead, Don.
If I didn't come to this meeting, and I only watch Fox News, and I never knew about this.
I know, that's what
I mean, there's no way they can find me until they send you a letter and say, hey, you got arrested.
Oh yeah, they'll find you if you got a driver's
Well, the
license.
city of Shreveport, they sent me an email like 2 weeks ago and said, you never have filed your rental with the city of Shreveport.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you let me know now, I'll do it.
Oh yeah, that's one way of doing it. And that ties on the residential registry, Don? On the residential registry?
Yeah,
Yeah, they doing,
I just didn't want to do it.
yeah, well, they're backfilling that
If
on,
you find me, I'll do it. So I did.
the city of Shreveport doing a backfill on the residential registry. That has not been a huge successful program. One of the administrators reached out to me, was, asking, what could I do to try to get the membership to file with the residential. My take on that is that it was a bad law to begin with. And we just had to water it. We watered it down so bad. If you have more than 2 properties in Shreveport, then you have to do the residential registry. But there's no fee. When it started out, it was $100 or $200 fee.
Yeah.
But they didn't have the leverage or the politics to pull it through.
It shouldn't be your job to police them either. If they
No.
want to do that, they should be trying to find me. And they found me somehow, so.
Yeah, they gonna find you. Yeah, you know what I said earlier, if you got a birth certificate and you still alive, you got a driver's license, you got insurance, they gonna find you.
But the bottom line was, is how were you supposed to know about it in the first place?
If I wasn't here.
Oh, see, now,
I've got other friends that have rental properties, not a member of this club, they don't know about it, they're not doing it.
right, and they're gonna get jammed up, but I'm gonna tell you what you're gonna run into. There were some, I can't think of the phrase, but I'll send it to you, Don. But I retired from law enforcement 33 years in law enforcement, and many times I've testified in front of the judge, and their famous phrase was, ignorance is what?
Not
an excuse.
Not an excuse. So just because you didn't know, you can't use that. Of course, now it was some phrase. I'll put that out to the group. There's some phrase that they use that incapacitated in the hospital, or something like that. You exempt with that. But I'll have to print that out and send it to you. I send it out to the organization. Are there any more questions?
How many people in here have registered with a local?
The residential one, like you was
Yeah.
talking about? I have not. Has any, you have?
Talking about the Shreveport registry?
Yeah.
The Shreveport registry?
Yeah.
All of ours are registered.
Yeah.
Most property managers, I know a lot of people here don't use it, but if you have a property manager, about June, May of last year, most of them took care of it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right. If no one has any other questions, then that concludes my presentation on the Corporate Transparency Act. I hope that the information was useful. We had a lot of showing of hands. Don says, he wasn't aware. He watched Fox News, just for the record, Don.
No, I don't.
You don't watch, you do watch Fox?
Fox News?
Yeah. Well, just for the record, Don. I watch it on occasion because I want to get a full picture of what's going around. Yeah, I do like the 3 networks,
Yeah.
Yeah, so by the time you listen to 3 of them, it won't be hard to figure out what the truth
But I
is.
mean, there's no other way to know unless you were here,
Right.
because there's no more newspapers anymore, there's not
No,
any other way.
no,
Unless you watch the local news, and I watch the local news every day, I've never seen anything mentioned about this. So.
right.
What about
I get all
sending,
my news from memes.
Facebook.
what about sending out, we have a list of past members, the last how many number of years. Sending out a little blurb or something to everybody.
Tammy, can you speak to that?
I could send out an email. I did send out to past members this time,
Right, so for tonight,
information about tonight.
she did 2 databases. She did a database of the current members for this year. She sent this information out, and she also sent another database out to the former and past members. We thought it was so important that they be aware that they need to file this paperwork. So, but I know, particularly on the lawsuit, last month I sent that information out on the lawsuit. So we need to try to keep that thing circulating. There may be some more Dawn Stampers out there that are not aware. So it looks like I'm planning to meet with Hayden Wallace again over at RE 318. And I will probably give him a call in the near future to see if they're interested in this information. The last time I was over there, we touched on it very lightly, but we didn't have all the details of it. So we'll definitely reach out to his group as well, make them aware of it as well.
That's something with the new website, we'll be able to put that out there.
Ah, yes.
And the way it's set up will be, it'll be right there on the front page, and just as a reminder. So once we get that new website up and going, then the past members can see it also. They won't be able to log in as a member
Right.
and see the videos and everything, but they'll be able to go in there and, pull up the front page and see what's going on. And that can definitely be put on there.
All right, so, good point, Tammy, and I'll follow up with that, is that on this new website, they got two qualifications on this new website. One is a member, paid up member, then they have contacts. So if you're meeting somebody, they go into the website, they can look at the website, they can put the information in, there'll be a contact. So all of our past members will be contacts. So it's just a transition of, you pay your $60, you go from being a contact to being able to access the information and a database. But on something like this, we'll do like the Secretary of State did, just put it on a prominent place on top of the website so everybody will be aware.
Well, I know in the past, some of the members were hesitant to put their telephone number and their address out there, so.
Yeah, and this with the website, that'll help because you can create an account and whatever information you choose to share in the account, it will be public in the back end. They can say if you message Robert and you don't want him to have your number, but you need to communicate with him, once you send him a message, it'll send him a text alert on his phone as a member of the site, and then he can go to it and read it. Just to make the communication more easily accessible for everybody, because we only meet once a month, and you might have a deal that you want to sell. Well, none of the other members will know because you won't see me again until the following month. So this will streamline that.
Right. Very good point, Mr. Vice President. All righty. My good friend,
What you got?
any questions?
The only thing I can think of is as we have the responsibility to go out and make sure that everybody in our circles outside of here are aware of it, so they don't get slapped with it.
Right.
So like tomorrow, I'll go talk to all the property managers that I work for. Not that I care, they're just clients, but they all have landlords who might not be as educated or might not know just because they didn't come to the meeting or they keep their face out of the social media and off the TV. They don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's up to us to kind of spread it so we don't, just because we don't know the other landlords out there, just so they don't get whacked with it. Or other businesses. It's LLCs in general. Just between me and my dad, I think we have like 7 LLCs for every sector that we have. So pretty important to us.
It is. You got to do it 7 times.
Yeah.
I did it twice. I did it once for my real estate investment company. I did another one for my lawn service company. And then the other one that said it was exempt because it's just been dormant for several years, but of course they're gonna buy that back 5 years. So. Anyway, any other questions?
How long did it take you to do it? Not very long, or?
15 minutes maybe.
Oh, okay.
I had to walk from the back, get my driver's license, scan it, and upload my driver's license. I thought that was rather odd. You already know who I am. You issued me a social security number. Why the state has my driver's license, you're gonna get in the database anyway. Why do I have to give you my driver's license?
There was no fee?
No fee.
Okay.
And then that's no fee.
Probably because of all the identity theft with fake driver's license. That's
Yeah.
probably why.
Yeah. Oh, they'll match it up.
Well, now a lot of the IDs are going to the real IDs.
Yes.
I think it was either last May or this May that they're required now to like fly. So I think a lot of the federal government is putting a lot of emphasis on the real IDs because it was actually surprisingly hard to get because I do everything bill-wise electronic. You have to have like multiple pieces of mail with your name and address on it.
Yeah.
And a lot of my stuff is through my LLCs. So it was really, really difficult for me to do.
Sorry.
All right, no biggie. So, my good friend was talking about the Real ID. The Real ID is another government program to specifically identify you so you're not some foreign-born Middle Eastern person that potentially might, fly some more planes into some buildings. So he mentioned you got to probably have your electric bill, water bill, some more identification to be sure that it's you. So what does the Real ID, what's to separate the Real ID from a regular ID? If you live in the United States, then you can use a regular ID, you can fly US. But if you're going international, so this ties into that 9/11. You know, you want a plane flying from east to west or some international. If you flying international, you have to have a real ID. Also, you can't go into any government facilities without a real ID. So that's something that I have one. My wife is working on hers. I think we got some more documentation like water bill, gas.
I think it's like May, I want to say it's May 1st of 25 is when the deadline is. And then whenever the deadline is, it's,
I think it's closer. It might be 24. Who got a,
year.
in the next year?
It's next year.
Okay, all right,
and it was surprisingly, now, once you have all the information,
yeah.
very easy.
Well, one of the things that they want with the real ID in particular is a birth certificate. We talked about that earlier. So in other words, you asking for an ID, we need to be sure that the information that we given as an ID or driver's license matched up with your birth certificate. If you don't have a birth certificate, then we don't know if that's actually you or not. So that's one of the things that they require.
I know a guy can get you one if you need one too.
Yeah, Don Stamper. All right. Are there any more follow-up questions? If not, then this concludes my presentation on Corporate Transparency Act, and I hope that the information is very useful to the organization. Thanks so much for coming out.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brent.